Hey, what's happening, fellow cartoonists? Thanks for hanging out with me today on this Tuesday, or if it's not Tuesday, whatever day it is that you're watching me here. I really appreciate you swinging by, and today I thought I would tackle the question of what the heck do you charge somebody for your work? It's a question. It's a very vague question. It's a question that can be answered in many different ways. But I'm going to get right to the point and not go over every little minute detail of what to charge a person or a client. Because you know what? It varies tremendously on whatever it is you are doing. Basically, it boils down to this. Starting off wherever you're at, a lot of times you want to build that portfolio and get work coming in. And to get that, you have to demonstrate that you've worked before. And so, how do you get that rolling in? If you've never had a client, how can you get away with charging a ton of money for something that you're going to work on? I'm just going to kind of share with you what I did when I started off and kind of where I'm at now. And again, I'll make this brief. I'm not going to go over every detail. But when I first started off cartooning, I was doing I'll back up way back. When I was a kid, I wanted to just be a newspaper cartoonist. That was it. Be syndicated in newspapers, and I would be living the life. Well, as time goes on, syndication ain't all that anymore. And I came along at a weird time when just newspapers were dying, and quite frankly, they're not doing too great now at all still. And so it's the whole syndication thing, though it's possible. I'm not saying you can't get syndicated. I'm syndicated. But it's just not that living, So I rely on clients and work. So, getting going kind of when I realized syndication is not going to pay all the bills and, provide me with mac and cheese for lunch, I thought I need to find different routes. So I started looking into to getting clients, and that along with there's a lot of other avenues out there also for income, but I'm not going to get into those today. Just going to talk about client work. And so getting into clients. So, okay, I want to get some clients. How do I go about doing that? I mentioned that in some previous videos. What I did was I actually put out Craigslist ads, and I put out a website and things like that. But to get the first clients going, what did I charge them? What made somebody pay me for my work? I will say that when I started off, I didn't charge as much as I do now. And I think that's typical for any artist. I try not to sell myself short when I started off, but I would charge a little bit less than I do now, considering I was new and wanted to get in the game. Now, I didn't want to go down the avenue of, there's some websites out there where it's, I won't mention them by name, but they chart any kind of work you want done, it's $5, no matter what it is, like video design, illustration, drawing, and stuff like that. Those websites are toxic and cheap. It cheapens art. Art is a profession. I've always said, okay, if, as an artist, as a cartoonist, I'm sure you've been approached a million times about doing work for free, for example. And do not go down that road. Please don't. Work is not free. Would you hire a electrician and have them come to your house and look at your problems that you had, or fix your electrical problems, and then, once they leave, be like, oh, I thought that was going to be for free. What do you mean? I have to pay you? Do you sell? If you're a fast food employee and you have people come in, do they want the free food and just question why isn't this free? For some reason, artists and cartoonists, and if you know this if you're in the creative industry, they think our work is free, and we just love doing it so much that we're just going to give it to you. It's not going to cost a dime. That's not the way it works. In fact, our work actually is expensive when we get to that professional level. When we do good quality stuff, it is worth a lot of money and can do a lot for people depending what you're getting hired for. So to cut to the chase, what do you charge for just a basic project? Let's say someone just wants a drawing done in a book or a book cover or something of that nature. Well, there's different things you can look at. I'll be approached a lot of times by people just doing like a personal book for their kids. Like, hey, I'm just putting together a book for my kids, so I'm not expecting to spend a lot of money on this. Then I'll get approached by a publisher, wanting to do a major kind of book for stores and everything. And so I look at that as this. Listen, I'm going to be spending the same amount of time on a book for your kid as I would for a book for a publisher for the most part. I'm not going to not make the book for the kid any less professional than I would a book for a publisher. Even if they tell me not to, because that's still my work and it's being put out there, so I'm not going to do that. So I tend to charge quite a bit of money for that. And for just like personal projects, a book cover, I start over $1,000 per book cover, put it to you that way. And typically it's a lot more than that, depending on the scope of the project, depending how long it'll take me. And if they want more work on top of that, like interior and everything like that, I'll go up and up and up. Now, I say $1,000 because that's like my base point. That's kind of like the flat rate starting point of where I am at a book cover. And that can be definitely, 10 times more if it's like a professional book that's going to be published by a big author. You can also add, residual sales onto that, everything else. Or it can be maybe slightly less if it's a friend of mine or somebody that I know. And here again, like I get friends contacting me, hey friend, nothing personal, but I'm not going to do work for you much cheaper than I would a client. And I just mentioned that amount, like $1,000. Okay, so that's for me, and that's an example of a book cover for me. A lot of times, again, that will go way up or way down, but that's kind of my base point, and that's where I feel comfortable starting the talking process of if I'm going to do a project or not. And a lot of times, these personal projects, that's way too much money, but for me personally, that's not a ton of money. If it's a very exclusive book cover that would take me a long time or whatever, like a lot of detail, I don't know, something, it'll probably go up, and again, depending on the industry of where it's going to be. So what I'm getting at is, it's going to vary across the board of what you charge for a client and a customer. I feel like this. At the end of the day, if you feel happy with what you charged and you are, you can sleep at night feeling good about it, you're not selling yourself short, and you are happy and excited to do a project for that price, and that's probably good. I would suggest not doing it way too cheap either. I feel like that cheapens art, and it will not help you in the long run. It's funny, the more you charge, the more someone's willing to pay for it, if that makes sense. Believe it or not, like if you sell yourself cheap, it's weird how this works, but the cheaper you get, the less quality of clients you're going to bring in. The clients that buy things for really cheap typically aren't fun to work with, I've found. The ones that will actually understand your value and the quality that you can do, those are the ones you want to get, and those are the ones that are happy to pay you what you're worth. And whether that typically can be a lot more than, for example, $1,000 for a book cover. So keep that in mind. And, I get it. When you're starting off, you want to get a lot of projects under you to showcase and then build off of that. So I have no problem with a few things. Like you can, when you're first starting off, maybe go a little bit cheaper if you need to get that project. Okay. I don't see anything wrong with that. I've done it. I've done some projects for really cheap. In fact, some stuff and this is a long time ago when I was just a dumb young cartoonist. I've done stuff that I looking back like, oh, I shouldn't have done it for that price. But I did it and I learned from it. And then, you learn as you go. But just don't sell yourself short. If you take on a few crappy projects that, you may not want to do and it may not be exactly where you want to be at, but you just want to do that project to get the project and have it under you. I don't see anything wrong with that, but again, use your this is up to you. Totally what's awesome about cartooning too. It's up to you what you want to do. Sometimes I feel it's worth it. Sometimes I feel like it's not to work with a bad client or something but a bad client may pay me. So I guess bottom line, don't sell yourself short. Feel good about your price. Please avoid websites like these $5 websites that, are really, really cheap. And there's some other ones out there too that just people will do projects for pennies, I feel like. And that's where we get the bad reputation of doing art for free, are these people that will do it for practically free, and they make the rest of us artists look, like that it can just be done that way. You can hire anyone for anything and not have to pay them. Especially artists. We get such a bad reputation for that. I never understood that, because if you look at the world, art and cartooning and visual design is on everything. So if someone's hiring you to do, again, example, a book cover will sell that book if it's really done right. Or if you're doing like a product design, like I have an example here. I do wine labels. I'm not going to drink it. I can't drink on the job, although this isn't really a job, but I don't think. Is it me putting out videos a job? I don't know. But, I do wine labels for a company. This one's based out in Ohio. And in fact, I just got a call, no kidding, this morning about doing some more wine labels for them. But it's a cool project. What was I getting at? Well, I feel good about this project, like doing it. I quoted them a good price, and it's good to go. So don't sell yourself short. Don't cheapen your product. Your art is your product. And I know what I was going to say, like these labels help the wine sell. I'm not being cocky by saying that. They really do. People love seeing, it's called Naked Penguin Moscato, and it's there's a naked penguin on the front. People like a naked penguin. What can I say? And this particular wine is actually selling very well in Ohio, and it's we're doing some more exciting things. I'm not going to plug that here. But anyway, I mean, what I'm getting at is, art is worth the money. If somebody doesn't want to pay you, if you feel like spending your time with that client and explaining to them the value of what you're doing, sometimes that can help, and sometimes they get it. They'll understand, oh yeah, well, this is why I'm paying you what it is. You may charge, thousands of dollars for a label, but that whoever hired you to do it will bring in, tens of thousands of dollars because of that label. So keep that in mind also as you go through this. I was going to mention too, there's a book. I always write it down because it's a long title, and I'm bad with remembering long titles. But there's a book out there called the Graphic Artists Guild Handbook: Practical and Ethical Guidelines. Look it up on Amazon. But they have, if you go through that, you can kind of get a nice ballpark of where to begin with figures and pricing. I've used it several times for determining what I'm going to charge a client. So that's good. Just look it up on Amazon. Every year they come up with a new book. So keep that in mind. And something else I keep in mind too is with clients, is this going to be a reoccurring project? Example with the wine labels. I didn't sell myself short whatsoever with a price for these, but also I realized like it's going to be reoccurring. They're doing a lot of labels, and when I started this years ago, actually, I knew that going in. So I negotiated a little bit of the price with that, knowing that there's going to be more work coming out of that. And I do the same thing with like people that hire me to do monthly comic strips or, reoccurring comics that I know it's going to be a repeat customer. A lot of times I'll cut them a little break, and again, I feel good. I can sleep at night knowing what I charge, and that's the bottom line. So I hope kind of like this makes sense. You know what? I can't give you a number. The only thing I gave you a little bit of a ballpark number on is my like book cover projects and where I kind of start with that and where I can finish. That can range from anywhere from starting at $1,000 for, let's say, a personal book cover for a friend possibly, or something that's not going to require much, all the way up to tens of thousands of dollars depending on what that book cover is. I have like, it's total at the end up to you. All I can say is don't sell yourself short. I've repeated this and I'm repeating it again like a broken record, but don't sell yourself short for your benefit so you can sleep well at night, and for the rest of us artists out here trying to make a living, cartoonist. Do not give away your art for free. Again, there's a fine line there. Like if it's a gift, okay, cool. If it's not, and you want to be a professional cartoonist, don't just give it away. You need to charge money for that. Now, some of you may just do cartooning for a hobby, and if you're doing it for a hobby, I'm not sure why you're watching this video on how to what to charge, but maybe you are. And if it's just a hobby and you like making comics for your friends, that's fine. I mean, I'm talking on a professional level to get income coming in and to do it long term. You can't just give away your product. You can't just go on websites and sell it, cheaply. It's because you got to put value on your work. Even if you're just getting started, put value on it. Put the value of I am getting started, and it's going to be it is a valuable product. So keep that in mind. I hope this helped a little bit. I know it's not exact numbers or anything, but I think this whole talk may have given you an idea of like just what to charge. I'd suggest looking into that book that I mentioned. Again, I can't remember the full title, but the Graphic Artists Guild Handbook. Look for it on Amazon. It's like $22, $25, something like that. And again, every year they come out with a new book, so that's really cool to check out. And if you have any questions about what should I charge for this or that, there's a lot of resources out there, not just me. It's just me kind of explaining how I look at things. But yeah, just at the end of the day, you gotta bring in the income, and you have a valuable product if you really work hard at it. If you're just getting started, again, maybe you have a little ways to go before you can get to the point of selling your work. And that's okay too, but at the end of the day, if you put in the time and energy and effort into being a great cartoonist / illustrator, whatever it is, make it so that your product is great, it's fantastic, and people pay you for it. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I mention it every time. I have a free 3-part cartooning course that kind of gets you in the right mindset of what to create and how to start marketing your comics. Be sure to sign up for that. I got a link for that here. And guys, I'll be back next week with a new video. So in the meantime, cheers to you and your success. If you have any questions too, by the way, leave them in the comments below. I'm usually pretty good at getting back to those. So, all right, guys, we'll talk to you later.